Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Zach, and you're watching Cars in Movies. Today we're going to be talking about the Nissan GTR. So the Nissan GTR first came out in 1969. It was unveiled at the Tokyo Motor Show. It had an inline six with 160 horsepower. At the time, pretty solid. In comparison to today, the Nissan Altima 2022 model starts at 182 horsepower and can be upgraded to 236 horsepower. Hit that drift in the Altima, I guess. Don't do that. That's not a great idea. So the first appearance that I could find was in a show called G-Men 75. It's a Japanese detective show, had actually pretty good reviews. It was a CSI equivalent to something like that today. But you didn't hear me wrong. I didn't tell you that it came out in 1975. The name of the show is G-Men 75. Starting in 1976, your show looks outdated, which is fine because the show went into 1982 and the show was promptly ended with over 300 episodes. And then G-Men 82 came out. There were no GTRs in that one that I could find. So it's difficult to talk about the GTR in movies without covering the obvious. Yes, we're going to talk about Fast and Furious. I wanted to give you a couple facts about the GTRs in the Fast and Furious movies, and then we can talk about some different celebrities that have owned those vehicles and a couple other movies that it's been in and TV shows. So in the first Fast and Furious movie, was a 1995 R33. This is when I feel a lot of people my age might have been first exposed to the car. I think that's probably when I was first exposed to the car. I know some people talk about there's another video game that had some significance to it, but my first was definitely in the Fast and the Furious. Honestly, I didn't really know it was a real car. I thought it was like a movie car, like a Batmobile or something like that. Like they made it for the movie because it's just so outlandishly fast. It could only be so fast in the movies. I was probably 14 by the time somebody was like, "Hey man, look at that. What are you talking about? What is that?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's a GTR." GTR? Yeah, like a Nissan GTR. Nissan doesn't do races. I was sorely mistaken. Hell, they make fast trucks, so just way off. Kids are dumb. I was one of them. Fast Furious 2 had a 1999 R34. Tokyo Drift, the third film, the best one, had a 1996 R33. Tokyo Drift was the best movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. No one will ever convince me otherwise, and it's fine. If you believe something different, you're allowed and you're entitled to your opinions. But I ask you this, please, go watch Tokyo Drift again, and then come back and delete your comment. Fast and Furious, not to be confused with The Fast and The Furious, had a 2002 R34. Fast 5 had a 2010 R34, replaced by the 2011 R35 in Fast and Furious 6. Fast 7 or Furious 7, the names are so stupid. The seventh one had a 2012 R35 as well. So 2010, 2011, 2012. Hey guys, editing Zach here. I was looking through the official fandom page for the Fast and Furious franchise. Turns out it actually goes 2010, 2012, 2012. So absolutely incorrect. Just wanted to double check everything before I put this video out. Thanks guys, you get it. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video. Fast and Furious 9, the ninth one. Fast Furious 9 had a 1999 R34. Now, if you have moved on from second grade, you'll notice that I skipped a number there. That is because the 8th film of the Fast and Furious franchise did not have a Nissan GTR in it. I don't remember hearing about that on anything online. I don't remember people talking about that, but it is silly to me at this point that if you're talking about Fast and Furious, inevitably the GTR is going to come up, and if you're talking about the GTR, inevitably Fast and Furious is going to come up. I don't know why in the 8th film in your franchise you decided, we're good. We don't need it anymore. We'll get something else, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Why would we have it in the 8th film? We only had it in the first 7. And we'll have it in the 9th. A little bit of history. Paul Walker owned a GTR. Some of you may know that. But it was an R34 GT4 V-Spec. One of only 14 that were imported into the United States by a company called Motorex. Motorex? T-Rex. But like a car, motor... That's just Transformers. It's just Transformers. While on set, he was driving it around, fell in love, and ended up buying one of the imported cars. Apparently, he wasn't so in love with it because he ended up selling it. He sold it to a man in Hawaii who wanted to turn it into a replica of the model Paul Walker was first loaned in the movie, aka the Blackbird. Get ready. The new owner was later raided by the DEA and the car was seized. It was then sold to a man in Texas who owned the vehicle for about 15 years. Now, that owner in Texas eventually did end up selling it to a JDM importer. Now, that car is previously owned by a now passed away celebrity. Rare enough as it is because they're kind of old. It was one of the 14 that were originally imported. And so Craig Lieberman, who was the technical advisor for the Fast and Furious franchise, estimates that vehicle is probably worth about $400,000 now. And oh boy, if you think that sounds like a lot, the R34 that Paul Walker drove in the fourth installment of the Fast and Furious franchise is now for sale for $1.35 million. Almost $1 million more than the one that Paul Walker owned. Personally, I would want the one that Paul Walker owned, not just the one that was maybe in the movie. And see, but that's a whole different thing because you can like watch that movie and be like, that's my car. But you can't watch the CCTV footage of Paul Walker's house and be like, hey, that guy, that's my car now. Anyway, you get the idea. So I guess I could see where maybe the one that he owned might not be worth as much. And I kind of want that one because now it's the GTR and the Fast and Furious franchise. And unfortunately, Paul Walker and everything's just tied together so inexorably. Let me know down in the comments which one you would prefer to own. Personally, I think I'm going to go with the one that Paul Walker eventually was seized and then sold to another guy back in Texas. I think that's a little more interesting than just, oh yeah, they used it on set that day. Now, that vehicle is for sale for $1.35 million. Sounds like a lot. Half of it actually is going to Paul Walker's charity, Reach Out Worldwide. No affiliation, but I left the link in the description. Seems like a good charity. If you guys want to throw some money their way, go for it. Now, moving on from the Fast and Furious franchise, let's start with the worst movie, probably the worst movie the GTR's ever been in. And yeah, no, I think it's probably the worst movie. Green Hornet. It was in there very briefly. You might have missed it. It was a very dark scene, but throughout history, the GTR is, cool and fast and sleek. And it does serve its purpose as being the cool, fast, sleek car that can keep up with the car, like the Black Beauty in that movie. Like the whole point is that like this one's driven by bad guys. Now another one I thought was really interesting, the GTR that was used in Elysium. Very, very interesting. Unfortunately, I haven't even seen that movie. I thought it was really cool seeing all of the effort that went into making that car look just 140 years old. It's about a 2013-ish time frame. The movie came out in 2013, so probably a 2012, 2013 time frame. That movie takes place in 2154, so it would make the car a little over 140 years old. They did an amazing job doing that. My favorite little detail is probably the GTR spray paint in the back. I'm not a guy that likes stickers on the back of cars. I don't care if they're funny or cute or you go to Disney every year. I don't care. Very, very rarely is there an exception to that rule, and I think it'd be really interesting to recreate that, or if maybe you don't want to do all of that, just a little sticker of that spray paint R34 on the back would look really, really good. Just for that little bit of flair, make it personalized. Next movie, another big movie, was Ambulance. Big Michael Bay blockbuster. It was used in the movie a couple times throughout the film. Honestly, it was just there for product placement, but the car was in the film semi-regularly. But the film is about these guys, they steal an ambulance. Why did nobody drive the GTR to pursue the ambulance? The ambulance isn't going faster than the GTR. You have a GTR in it and you're like, okay, cool, like this is gonna be sick. No, just doesn't get used at all. So anyway, the GTR's been around for a little while. It's made its way into movies and TV shows alike that I couldn't even get to here. Obviously, it's gonna be on car shows like Top Gear, but it's also gonna be in just Workaholics. So just don't be surprised the next time you're watching TV, there might be a GTR on screen. Most of the time it's there for either product placement. Maybe this guy's like a douche and he drives a cool car, and for some reason somebody else took the Camaro that they had reserved. always got to be a Camaro. So they rent it from Avis and they get a GTR. I wanted to talk about a couple celebrities that own a GTR. I'm not sure if he still owns it, but there are a lot of photos and articles about Robert Downey Jr. owned a GTR. Kind of interesting. Didn't know that. Like him a little bit more now. Iron Man drives a GTR. I think that's pretty sick, especially since he was driving the Audi R8 in a lot of the Iron Man movies and Marvel movies. Let him use his car. It's pretty sick as it is, and then he can drive around. They're like, oh, dude, like that's the guy, the car. Funnily enough, fast cars, fast men. Usain Bolt owns a GTR. It is gold as hell. He's taken a couple different photos with like orangey ones, but Usain Bolt is typically in a gold GTR. Perfect. Absolutely. Love it. Love every second of it. And then Patrick Swayze apparently owns a GTR. So that's kind of cool. That's just interesting. Didn't know that. It's kind of like finding out that you share a birthday with somebody. You're like, oh, that doesn't help me at all. But, it's interesting enough. Little thing you didn't know yesterday and you know today. So with ties to famous movie stars like Paul Walker, being on TV since 1975, the public has been seeing this for a long time. Obviously, it's rich racing history, cult following. All this is to say that the GTR is not going anywhere anytime soon. We're going to be seeing these for a long time. I don't think there's even any risk of that. They just get more interesting as we go along. I think we all have an appreciation for some of the older stuff and maybe even how that was made, how it was engineered, how far they've pushed everything. As long as they have. Even people who don't care, that aren't in the cult following for GTRs specifically, it's just a cool car. And you can tell, hey, that's a fast car too. You just know it. Maybe they don't even know who makes it, but wow, that's really cool. What is that? And they want to know. Beautiful vehicles, just absolutely beautiful vehicles. Outside of the performance and the racing history, cult followings and all of the beauty that goes into that community, that culture, old and new alike, they're amazing vehicles. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. And if you got a buddy or two that thinks this video would be really interesting to them, just let them know I'm here. Now, if I've missed anything, if you have any suggestions for any other vehicles I should do, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I've got more content on the way. We are just getting started.